The stars looked different out here in the empty space between worlds. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberator and watched the endless black through the main screen. He had been doing this for 23 years now. 23 years of patrol duty in a ship that was supposed to be dead. The Liberator drifted silently through space like a ghost ship. No other human vessel had seen her for over 2 decades. The records back on Earth listed her as lost during a deep space mission. That was the story they told everyone. The truth was much different. Morrison walked to his command chair and sat down. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the life support systems. His crew of 200 souls had been out here with him all this time. They were good people. They understood what they were doing and why it mattered. Commander Lisa Barrett looked up from her tactical station. Her dark hair showed gray streaks now. Time had passed for all of them out here in the void. "Captain, we are picking up some unusual readings from the long-range sensors," she said in her calm voice. Morrison turned to face her. Barrett had been his first officer since the beginning. She was one of the best tactical minds he had ever worked with. "What kind of readings, Lisa?" "Multiple ships, sir. Large ones. They are coming from the direction of the Galactic system. The computer thinks there might be over 400 vessels in the formation." The captain felt his blood grow cold. 400 ships was not a normal patrol or trading fleet. That was an invasion force. He had been waiting for something like this for many years, but had started to hope it would never come. "How far out are they?" Morrison asked. 2 days at their current speed, sir. They are heading straight for Earth." Morrison stood up and walked to the tactical display. The screen showed a cloud of red dots moving through space toward the inner solar system. Each dot represented a ship that could destroy Earth's small defense fleet without much trouble. Chief Engineer Tony Rodriguez came onto the bridge. His uniform was dirty from working on the engines. The man had kept their experimental systems running for over 20 years with spare parts and determination. "Captain, I felt the sensors powering up. Are we finally going to see some action?" Morrison nodded. "It looks that way, Tony. How are our systems?" "Everything is ready, sir. The quantum fusion reactors are stable. The jump drive tested clean last month. The weapon systems are charged and waiting. We can fight." The captain looked at his old friend. Rodriguez had volunteered for this mission when it started. He could have gone home years ago but chose to stay. They all could have gone home, but none of them did. They understood their duty. "Lisa, open a channel to Earth Defense Command. Use the old emergency frequency. Tell them Jake Morrison has something to report." Barrett worked at her console. The ship's powerful transmitters sent a tight beam message toward Earth. It would take several hours to reach home, but Morrison knew someone would be listening on the other end. Meanwhile, in the Galactic system, Supreme Fleet Commander Zektar Prime stood in the command center of his flagship. The massive alien looked at the display showing his invasion fleet. 500 of the Empire's best warships moved through space in perfect formation. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a city. Zektar Prime was proud of his fleet. The Galaxian Empire had conquered 17 star systems using forces like this one. The humans would be number 18. Intelligence reports said Earth only had 50 small warships to defend their colonies. The battle would be over quickly. "Commander, we will reach the human home system in 2 standard days," reported his aide. "Excellent. Send word to the other fleet groups. Tell them to prepare for occupation duties. The humans will surrender once they see our strength. If they do not, we will show them the price of resistance." Back on the Liberator, Morrison received a reply from Earth faster than expected. The message came through on his personal screen. It was from Admiral Frank Collins, his old friend and the only man who knew the truth about their mission. "Jake, good to hear your voice after all these years. We have been tracking the Galaxian fleet. Our intelligence says they have over 500 ships. Earth Defense Fleet is ready to fight, but we both know how this will end. Are you prepared to reveal yourselves?" Morrison smiled for the first time in months. Collins understood what needed to happen. The Liberator had been built for this exact moment. All those years of hiding and waiting were about to pay off. He opened a reply channel. "Frank, we have been ready for 23 years. The Liberator is fully operational. All systems are green. We will engage the enemy when they reach the outer marker. Make sure your ships stay clear of the combat zone." The captain turned to address his bridge crew. "People, this is what we trained for. This is why we stayed out here when we could have gone home. Earth needs us now. The Galaxian Empire thinks humans are weak because that is what we wanted them to think. Today we show them the truth. Lieutenant Sam Brooks looked up from his communications station. The young officer had joined them 5 years ago when his transport got lost in a storm. He chose to stay and serve rather than return to Earth. Sir, should I send word to the crew? Yes, Sam. Tell everyone to report to battle stations. We go active in 6 hours. After 2 decades of silence, the Liberator goes to war. The ship came alive as the crew prepared for battle. In the engine room, Rodriguez began the startup sequence for systems that had been sleeping for years. The quantum fusion reactors hummed with increasing power. Energy flowed through conduits that had been built using technology the galaxy had never seen. Dr. Helen Wright had designed most of the Liberator's systems back when the ship was just plans on a computer. She was 70 years old now and worked at Earth Defense Command. When Collins told her about Morrison's message, she felt excited and terrified at the same time. The Liberator represented humanity's greatest achievement and its most dangerous secret. The ship used experimental technology that was 50 years ahead of anything else in space. Earth's government had decided to hide this advancement from their galactic neighbors. Better to appear weak than to make enemies. Now that choice would either save Earth or doom it. In 2 days, the Calaxian Empire would learn that humans were not the helpless species they appeared to be. The forgotten prototype warship was about to remind the galaxy why humanity had survived every challenge thrown at them. The stars looked different now to Captain Morrison. They looked like a battlefield where he would either win the greatest victory in human history or die trying. Either way, the Liberator would finally come home. The Calaxian fleet moved through space like a swarm of metal death. Each ship gleamed under the light of distant stars. Supreme Fleet Commander Zektar Prime walked the command deck of his flagship and felt satisfied with what he saw on the tactical displays. His invasion force stretched across millions of kilometers of space in perfect battle formation. Commander, our scouts report no human activity in the outer system, his aide reported. Their defense fleet appears to be gathered near their home planet as expected. Zektar Prime nodded. The humans were doing exactly what his intelligence predicted. They would make their final stand near Earth and be destroyed quickly. The Calaxian Empire would add another conquered species to their collection. Maintain course and speed. We will crush their pathetic defense fleet and then claim their worlds. The humans will learn what happens to species who refuse to bow to the Empire. Far away from the approaching invasion fleet, Captain Morrison stood in the engine room of the USS Liberator. Chief Engineer Rodriguez had been working for 18 straight hours to bring all systems online. The experimental technology required careful handling after years of minimal power operation. "How are we looking, Tony?" Morrison asked as he watched the engineer check readings on multiple screens. "Better than I hoped, sir. The quantum fusion reactors are running at full capacity for the first time in 5 years. The jump drive is responding perfectly. All weapon systems show green across the board. She may be old, but the Liberator is ready to fight." Morrison smiled and patted his friend on the shoulder. Rodriguez had performed miracles keeping their advanced systems operational with limited resources. The man deserved a medal, but this mission was too secret for official recognition. "What about the experimental systems, the ones we have never used in combat?" Rodriguez grinned. "The adaptive shield generators are online and calibrated. The quantum torpedo arrays are loaded and armed. The resonance field projector is ready, but sir, we have no idea what will happen when we use it at full power. Dr. Wright's theories looked good on paper, but this will be the first real test." The captain understood the risk. Half of their most advanced weapons had never been used in actual battle. They were based on scientific theories that pushed the boundaries of known physics. If the systems failed during combat, the Liberator would be just another target for the Calaxian fleet. On the bridge, Commander Barrett coordinated with the crew as they prepared for battle. Lieutenant Brooks worked at his station to establish secure communications with Earth, while maintaining complete radio silence toward the enemy fleet. "Commander, I have Admiral Collins on the emergency channel," Brooks announced. Barrett nodded. "Put him through to the captain's ready room. We need to maintain operational security until the engagement begins." Morrison left the engine room and went to his private office behind the bridge. The small room contained a secure communication setup that could reach Earth without being detected by enemy sensors. Admiral Collins appeared on the screen looking older than Morrison remembered. "Jake, it's good to see you after all these years. I wish it was under better circumstances." "Hello, Frank. You look like command has been treating you well. Are you ready for what comes next?" Collins leaned forward in his chair. That depends on what the Liberator can actually do. The files about your ship's capabilities are still classified above my clearance level. Dr. Wright has been briefing me, but some of the technology sounds impossible. Morrison understood his friend's concern. Even after 23 years of service aboard the Liberator, he sometimes found it hard to believe what their ship could do. Frank, everything in those files is real. We have been testing and improving these systems for over 2 decades. When we engage the Calaxian fleet, they will see technology that is 50 years beyond anything in their empire. How confident are you about facing 500 enemy ships with just one vessel? The captain thought about the question carefully. In any normal situation, one ship against 500 would be suicide. But the Liberator was not a normal ship, and this would not be a normal battle. We were built for this exact scenario. Earth needed a ship that could face impossible odds and win. Dr. Wright designed every system with that goal in mind. We will either prove her theories correct or die trying. Collins nodded slowly. What do you need from Earth Defense Fleet? Stay out of our way. Keep your ships near Earth and let us handle the initial engagement. If we fail, your fleet will be humanity's last hope. If we succeed, you can help with cleanup operations. After ending the communication, Morrison returned to the bridge. His crew was busy at their stations preparing for the most important battle in human history. The ship's AI system, which they called Liberty, was running final diagnostics on all major systems. Captain, Liberty reports all systems optimal, Barrett announced. We are ready for combat operations. Morrison sat in his command chair and looked at the main screen. The Calaxian fleet was still too far away to see, but their sensors painted a clear picture. 500 enemy ships moving toward Earth with complete confidence in their victory. Lisa, power up the cloak. I want us invisible until we are ready to strike. Tony, bring the jump drive to standby. We will need maximum mobility once the battle starts. The Liberator seemed to fade away as its advanced cloaking system activated. The ship became invisible to sensors while still maintaining full offensive capability. This was another piece of technology that the Calaxian Empire had never encountered. Dr. Wright sat in her laboratory at Earth Defense Command and monitored the Liberator's system status through quantum communication links. She had spent 30 years of her life designing the ship's revolutionary technology. Now she would finally see if her theories worked in actual combat. The quantum fusion reactors were her greatest achievement. They provided 10 times more power than conventional fusion systems while producing almost no detectable emissions. The adaptive shield generators could absorb enemy fire and convert it into additional power for the ship's weapons, but the most dangerous system was the quantum resonance field projector. Wright had based its design on theoretical physics that most scientists considered impossible. The device could disrupt enemy targeting systems while amplifying human weapons beyond their normal capacity. If it worked, one ship could fight like an entire fleet. If it failed, the energy feedback could destroy the Liberator instantly. Dr. Wright, we are receiving telemetry from the Liberator, her assistant reported. All systems are showing optimal performance. Wright nodded but felt nervous energy building in her chest. After decades of preparation, they would soon learn if humanity's greatest gamble would pay off. The Calaxian fleet continued its advance toward Earth, unaware that death waited for them in the darkness of space. Supreme Fleet Commander Zektar Prime reviewed his battle plans and felt certain of victory. His empire had never lost a major engagement. The humans would be no different from all the other species they had conquered. Captain Morrison watched the tactical display as enemy ships moved closer to his position. In 6 hours, the Liberator would decloak and begin the most important battle in human history. Win or lose, the galaxy would never forget what happened next. The first Calaxian scout ships entered the outer solar system like hunters seeking prey. Their sensors swept through space looking for any sign of human resistance. The alien crews felt confident as they advanced toward Earth. Intelligence reports said the humans only had 50 small warships. This would be an easy conquest for the mighty Calaxian Empire. Scout Captain Vextar commanded the lead vessel in the advance formation. His ship was one of 12 scouts moving ahead of the main invasion fleet. The sleek alien warship carried enough firepower to destroy a space station, but seemed tiny compared to the massive battleships following behind. Captain, our long-range sensors are picking up something unusual, his sensor operator reported. The alien's voice carried confusion and concern. What kind of unusual? Vextar asked as he moved to the sensor station. There appears to be a single ship drifting in space approximately 50,000 kilometers ahead of our position. The vessel does not match any known human design in our database. Vextar looked at the tactical display. A lone contact showed on the screen, much larger than the human ships they expected to encounter. The vessel appeared to be inactive with minimal power emissions. Perhaps it is a derelict vessel. The humans are known to abandon ships that become damaged. We will investigate and then continue with our mission. The 12 scout ships moved toward the unknown contact. Behind them, the massive Calaxian invasion fleet continued its advance toward Earth. Supreme Fleet Commander Zektar Prime received reports from his scouts and felt amused by their discovery. A single abandoned ship? Destroy it and continue the advance. We have no time for salvage operations. But the ship was not abandoned. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberator, watching the approaching enemy scouts on his tactical display. After 23 years of waiting, the moment had finally arrived. 12 contacts approaching our position, Commander Barrett reported from her station. They are moving in standard Calaxian scout formation. Range is now 40,000 kilometers and closing. Morrison felt calm despite the situation. He had been preparing for this battle his entire adult life. Every member of his crew knew their role perfectly. The Liberator was ready to show the galaxy what human engineering could accomplish. "Tony, are all systems ready?" Morrison asked over the comm. "Yes, sir," Rodriguez replied from the engine room. "Quantum fusion reactors at full power. Jump drive standing by. All weapon systems are armed and ready for your orders." The captain turned to his tactical officer. "Lisa, prepare to decloak on my command. Target the lead scout ship with quantum torpedoes. Full spread." Barrett worked at her console with practiced efficiency. The Liberator's advanced targeting systems locked onto the approaching enemy vessels. Each quantum torpedo carried enough destructive power to vaporize a normal starship. "Targets acquired, sir. We have firing solutions on all 12 enemy vessels." Morrison watched the tactical display as the Calaxian scouts moved closer. They had no idea that death was waiting for them in the darkness of space. The aliens believed they were investigating a helpless derelict when they were actually flying into the most dangerous trap in human history. "Decloak and fire," Morrison ordered. The USS Liberator seemed to materialize out of nothing as her advanced cloaking system shut down. The sleek human warship appeared on Calaxian sensors like a ghost becoming solid. Before the alien crews could react, 12 quantum torpedoes streaked through space toward their targets. Scout Captain Vextar had barely enough time to register shock before his ship exploded in a brilliant flash of plasma fire. The quantum torpedoes punched through Calaxian shields like they were made of paper. 11 other scout ships died in the same instant, vaporized by weapons technology the aliens had never encountered. The destruction was total and instantaneous. 12 enemy vessels simply ceased to exist, leaving only expanding clouds of superheated gas where they had been seconds before. On the bridge of his flagship, Zektar Prime stared at his tactical display in disbelief. All 12 of his advanced scouts had been destroyed simultaneously by a single enemy ship. Such a thing should have been impossible. "What happened to our scouts?" he demanded from his bridge crew. "Unknown, sir. A human vessel appeared and destroyed all 12 ships with one volley. The vessel does not match any design in our intelligence files." Zektar Prime felt the first stirring of doubt in his chest. The Calaxian Empire had conquered 17 star systems because they possessed superior technology and tactics. No single ship should be able to destroy 12 of his scouts so easily. "Order the entire fleet to battle formation. We will converge on this mystery ship and destroy it through overwhelming firepower." 500 Calaxian warships changed course and began moving toward the Liberator's position. The massive alien vessels looked like a cloud of death approaching through space. Morrison watched the enemy fleet response on his sensors. The aliens were doing exactly what he had hoped they would do. Instead of proceeding cautiously, they were committing their entire force to destroy his single ship. "Sir, all 500 enemy vessels are moving to intercept us," Barrett reported. "They will reach weapons range in 30 minutes. "Perfect. Lisa, prepare for jump sequence. We will engage them on our terms, not theirs. Tony, bring the experimental systems online. It's time to show these aliens what the Liberator can really do." In the engine room, Rodriguez activated systems that had never been used in actual combat. The adaptive shield generators came online, creating defensive barriers that could absorb enemy fire and convert it into additional power. The quantum resonance field projector began charging, preparing to disrupt enemy targeting while amplifying human weapons. Lieutenant Brooks monitored communications from the approaching fleet. The Calaxian transmissions showed confusion and growing concern. Their scouts had been destroyed by technology they could not understand. "Captain, I'm picking up enemy communications. They are calling for reinforcements from other fleet groups. They seem worried about engaging us." Morrison smiled grimly. The aliens were right to be worried, but it was too late for caution now. The Calaxian Empire had committed to this battle, and the Liberator would make them pay the price for their aggression. "Sam, open a channel to Admiral Collins. Tell him the engagement has begun. Earth Defense Fleet should prepare for possible enemy survivors, but they should stay clear of the combat zone." The tactical display showed 500 red contacts moving toward one blue contact. In any normal situation, such odds would mean certain death. But the USS Liberator was not a normal ship, and this would not be a normal battle. Supreme Fleet Commander Zektar Prime stood on his command bridge and watched his fleet close in on the mysterious human vessel. He had decided to destroy this ship personally to avenge his fallen scouts. The alien commander had no idea he was about to face the most advanced warship ever built by human hands. The Calaxian fleet surrounded the USS Liberator like wolves closing in on their prey. 500 alien warships formed a massive sphere of death around the lone human vessel. Supreme Fleet Commander Zektar Prime felt satisfied as he watched the tactical display. No ship could survive against such overwhelming firepower. "All vessels prepare to fire on my command," Zektar Prime announced across the fleet communications. "We will vaporize this mysterious human ship and continue with our invasion of Earth." Captain Morrison stood calmly on the bridge of the Liberator as enemy ships took position around his vessel. The tactical display showed red contacts in every direction. Any normal captain would have surrendered or tried to escape. Morrison smiled instead. "Lisa, activate the quantum resonance field on my mark. Tony, jump drive ready?" "All systems green, sir," Rodriguez replied from the engine room. "The experimental field projector is charged to full capacity. We are about to find out if Dr. Wright's theories actually work." Commander Barrett worked at her tactical station with steady hands. The next few minutes would determine whether humanity remained free or became another conquered species in the Calaxian Empire. "Sir, enemy ships are powering weapons. They will fire in 10 seconds. Activate resonance field now," Morrison ordered. The space around the Liberator suddenly changed as the quantum field projector came online. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as the experimental device created distortions in spacetime. The field was invisible to human eyes, but alien targeting systems began to malfunction immediately. Zektar Prime gave the order to fire just as his sensors stopped working properly. "All ships destroy the human vessel now." 500 Calaxian warships opened fire simultaneously. Thousands of plasma bolts and energy beams streaked toward the Liberator from every direction. The concentrated firepower should have been enough to destroy a small moon, but the quantum resonance field redirected most of the enemy fire into empty space. Shots that should have hit the Liberator missed by thousands of kilometers as the field distorted alien targeting computers. The few energy beams that did reach the human ship were absorbed by the adaptive shields and converted into additional power for the Liberator's weapons. "Impossible," Zektar Prime shouted as he watched his fleet's massive attack accomplish nothing. The human ship not only survived but seemed to grow stronger from the assault. Morrison felt the ship vibrate as the shield generators absorbed enemy fire and fed the energy back into their weapon systems. Dr. Wright's theories were working perfectly. "Lisa, return fire." Full spread on all targets within range. The Liberator unleashed hell upon the surrounding alien fleet. Quantum torpedoes launched in every direction, while plasma cannons fired continuously. But now the human weapons had been amplified by the resonance field and the absorbed enemy fire. Each shot carried 3 times its normal destructive power. Calaxian ships began exploding all around the battlefield. The aliens watched in horror as their mighty warships were torn apart by weapons that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Vessels that had conquered entire star systems died like insects before the Liberator's enhanced firepower. "Sir, we are detecting massive casualties in the enemy fleet," Barrett reported. 47 ships destroyed in the first exchange. "The aliens are breaking formation." Through the fleet communications, Zektar Prime could hear his captains screaming in panic and confusion. Ships that had never known defeat were being destroyed by technology they could not understand. The Supreme Fleet Commander felt fear growing in his chest for the first time in decades. "All vessels retreat to maximum weapons range. "Reform battle lines and prepare for coordinated assault," he ordered. But the Liberator was not finished. Morrison activated the ship's most revolutionary system as the enemy fleet tried to reorganize. "Tony, initiate jump sequence. We are going hunting." The jump drive engaged, and the USS Liberator simply vanished from the center of the battlefield. The alien fleet found themselves firing at empty space where their target had been milliseconds before. The human ship reappeared behind a group of Calaxian cruisers and opened fire before the aliens could react. 6 enemy vessels exploded in rapid succession. The Liberator jumped again, materializing on the opposite side of the battlefield to attack another formation of alien ships. To the Calaxian crews, it seemed like the human vessel could be in multiple places at the same time. The ship would appear, destroy several of their comrades, then vanish before return fire could be directed at it. The psychological impact was devastating. Rodriguez monitored the jump drive from the engine room as the ship teleported around the battlefield. The experimental system was performing beyond all expectations. "Captain, jump drive is operating at 110% efficiency. We can maintain this pace for another 2 hours." The battle became a nightmare for the Calaxian Empire. Their invasion fleet was being systematically destroyed by a single enemy ship that fought like nothing they had ever encountered. Centuries of military doctrine became useless against technology that broke all known rules of warfare. Lieutenant Brooks intercepted enemy communications as panic spread through the alien fleet. "Sir, the Calaxians are sending distress signals to other Empire fleets. They are calling for immediate reinforcements and reporting that humans possess impossible technology." Morrison felt grim satisfaction as he listened to the enemy transmissions. Word of this battle would spread throughout the Calaxian Empire and beyond. Every aggressive species in the galaxy would learn that humanity was not the weak target they appeared to be. "How many enemy ships remain operational?" Morrison asked his tactical officer. Barrett studied her displays as the Liberator jumped to another attack position. 231 vessels, sir. We have destroyed almost 60% of their invasion fleet. The remainder are attempting to retreat toward the outer system. Zektar Prime watched his mighty fleet crumble around him as the mysterious human ship continued its impossible assault. His flagship shook under return fire as the Liberator targeted his command vessel. Damage reports flooded in from all sections of his ship. "Supreme Commander, we must retreat immediately," his aide urged. "We cannot defeat this enemy with conventional tactics. We need to report back to the Empire and request specialized anti-human weapons." The alien commander felt rage and humiliation burning in his chest. The Calaxian Empire had never retreated from any battle. Their reputation for invincibility was being destroyed along with his fleet. But pride would not bring back his dead warriors or repair his damaged ships. "All vessels that can still maneuver, retreat to hyperspace immediately. We will return to Calax Prime and report what we have learned about human capabilities." Dr. Wright watched the battle data streaming back to Earth from the Liberator and felt amazed by what her experimental systems were accomplishing. The quantum resonance field was working better than her most optimistic projections. The adaptive shields were converting enemy fire into weapons power with perfect efficiency. But she also felt worried as she monitored the stress readings from the Liberator's hull and systems. The ship was performing incredible feats, but the strain was enormous. How long could the experimental technology hold up under such intense combat conditions? The tide of battle had turned completely in humanity's favor, but the war was far from over. Supreme Fleet Commander Zektar Prime stood on his damaged bridge and watched his invasion fleet retreat in disorder. More than half of his ships were gone, destroyed by a single human vessel that fought like a creature from nightmares. His mighty empire's reputation for invincibility lay in ruins along with the wreckage of his warships. "Sir, the human ship is pursuing our retreating vessels," his tactical officer reported with fear in his voice. "It continues to destroy our ships as they attempt to escape." Zektar Prime felt rage burning in his chest. The Calaxian Empire could not allow this humiliation to stand. If word of their defeat spread throughout the galaxy, other species would begin to resist their rule. The Empire's power was built on fear, and that fear was crumbling with each ship the humans destroyed. "Signal all remaining vessels. We will make one final attack on the human ship. Every captain will ram their vessel into the enemy at maximum speed. We will destroy this demon ship even if it costs us everything." The desperate order went out across the fleet communications. 130 Calaxian ships turned from their retreat and began accelerating toward the USS Liberator. The alien crews knew they were flying to their deaths, but they would obey their commander's final order. Captain Morrison watched the enemy fleet change course on his tactical display. The remaining Calaxian ships were forming up for what looked like a massive suicide assault. He had seen desperate enemies before, but never anything quite like this. "Sir, all enemy vessels are converging on our position at maximum acceleration," Commander Barrett reported. "They appear to be attempting a coordinated ramming attack." Morrison understood what the aliens were trying to do. If they could not destroy the Liberator with weapons, they would try to overwhelm it with sheer mass and numbers. It was a desperate tactic, but it might work if enough ships reached their target. "Tony, we need maximum power to the jump drive. How much strain can our systems handle?" Rodriguez checked his readings from the engine room. The experimental technology had been pushed far beyond its design limits during the battle. Warning lights flashed across multiple control panels as systems operated in the red zone. "Sir, the quantum fusion reactors are running at 120% capacity. The jump drive can give you maybe 6 more jumps before we risk a complete system failure. After that, we will be dead in space," Morrison calculated rapidly in his head. 6 jumps might not be enough to avoid over 100 enemy ships determined to ram his vessel. He needed a different solution, something that would end the battle once and for all. "Lisa, what happens if we overload the quantum resonance field projector? Push it beyond maximum safe parameters?" Barrett worked at her console, running calculations through the ship's computer. The results made her face go pale. "Sir, according to these projections, overloading the field generator would create a massive space-time distortion. The gravitational effects could tear holes in reality itself. What would happen to ships caught in that distortion?" "They would be destroyed, sir. Possibly scattered across different dimensions. But Captain, we would be at the center of the effect. The Liberator might not survive either." Morrison looked at the tactical display showing enemy ships closing in from all directions. In 2 minutes, the Calaxian fleet would reach ramming range. He had to make a choice between certain destruction and a risky gamble that might save his ship and crew. "Tony, divert all power from weapons to the resonance field projector. We are going to create the biggest space-time distortion in galactic history." Rodriguez began the power transfer sequence, even though he knew it might kill them all. The quantum field projector was never designed to operate at such extreme levels. Dr. Wright's theories suggested it might work, but there were no guarantees. "Sir, field projector charging beyond safe parameters. We will reach critical overload in 90 seconds. The space around the Liberator began to change as massive amounts of energy poured into the experimental device. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as the quantum field reached levels that violated the fundamental laws of physics. Zektar. Prime watched from his flagship as strange distortions appeared around the human ship. His sensors could not identify what was happening, but every instinct told him something terrible was building in the space ahead of his fleet. "All ships maintain course and speed. We will ram that demon ship no matter what tricks it tries to use." The quantum field projector reached critical overload, just as the first Calaxian ships entered ramming range. Morrison gave the final order that would determine whether humanity lived or died. "Activate field pulse now." The USS Liberator became the center of a massive space-time explosion that tore reality apart across millions of kilometers. The overloaded quantum field created gravitational distortions powerful enough to bend light and twist space into impossible shapes. The attacking Calaxian fleet flew directly into the distortion field at maximum speed. Ships that had survived the conquest of 17 star systems simply vanished as they were scattered across different dimensions. Others were crushed by gravitational forces that compressed matter beyond the limits of physics. Zektar Prime had just enough time to realize his mistake before his flagship imploded upon itself. The Supreme Fleet Commander's final transmission was a warning to his empire that humanity possessed technology beyond anything they had imagined. The space-time distortion collapsed after 30 seconds, leaving behind a region of twisted space filled with the scattered atoms of an entire invasion fleet. The USS Liberator drifted at the center of the destruction zone, heavily damaged but still intact. Morrison slowly regained consciousness on his bridge as emergency lighting flickered around him. The quantum field overload had knocked out most of their systems, but they were alive. Commander Barrett helped him to his feet as damage reports came in from all sections of the ship. "Status report, Lisa," Morrison said weakly. "Sir, we have survived the field collapse, but our experimental systems are completely offline. The quantum reactors are stable, but we have lost jump drive capability in most weapons. However, sensors show no enemy contacts anywhere in the system. Lieutenant Brooks worked at his communications station with trembling hands. Sir, I am receiving transmissions from Earth Defense. Fleet Admiral Collins wants to know our status. Morrison looked at the main screen showing the twisted space, where 500 enemy ships had been minutes before. The Galaxian invasion fleet had been completely destroyed. Not a single alien vessel remained to threaten Earth or any human colony. Tell the Admiral that the Liberator is operational, and the threat has been eliminated. Request immediate engineering support to repair our systems. On Earth, Admiral Collins received Morrison's message and felt relief flooding through his body. The impossible gamble had worked. A single prototype warship had defeated the largest invasion fleet in galactic history. Dr. Wright sat in her laboratory and studied the battle data transmitted from the Liberator. Her experimental technology had performed beyond her wildest dreams. The quantum resonance field, adaptive shields, and jump drive had all exceeded their design specifications under combat conditions. But the victory came with a price. The Liberator's advanced systems would need months of repair work before the ship could fight again. More importantly, humanity's secret was now revealed to the entire galaxy. Within hours, news of the battle spread to every species in known space. The Galaxian Empire's defeat sent shockwaves through civilizations that had lived in fear of alien conquest. Humanity was no longer seen as a weak young species, but as a potential galactic superpower. Morrison addressed his crew as the USS Liberator limped toward Earth under escort from the defense fleet. People, we have accomplished something that will be remembered for 1,000 years. A single human ship has defeated the greatest invasion fleet in galactic history, but our real work is just beginning. The galaxy now knows what humanity can do when pushed too far. The forgotten prototype warship returned home, not as a secret weapon, but as the herald of humanity's emergence, as a major galactic power. Earth would never again hide its true strength from those who threatened human freedom.